Ramble.
You guys, this is the one that we've been waiting for. Turn it up!
Pretty basic.
Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to Pretty Basic.
Hi, I'm your co-host, Remi Cruz.
And I'm Alisha Marie. In case you're new here, we always randomly get people telling us that they found us through the podcast, and I am honored. So honored, honestly.
That's always like such a wild concept to me still, which is so funny. But I do find like random podcasts in like the Apple library or whatever all the time, and then I become obsessed. So it's cool that people feel the same way about us. So if you guys have been listening to this podcast, since day one, year 2, we are on year 3. This, I believe, is quite possibly the most highly awaited, highly anticipated episode for all of us here, including myself. Today, we are going to talk about Alisha's dating life. Yes, you heard me right. Alisha's dating life. How are you feeling, ma'am?
Oh, I wasn't nervous until now. With that intro.
That was a good intro. I've been waiting for so long.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Oh my God, I don't even know where I want to start with this. So it's kind of a known thing because I've shared my life on the internet for quite some time, over a decade, which is insane to think about. In that time, I have literally only had one boyfriend. And that was in the very beginning, and like no one really knew that side of me. So, everyone would always wonder, Alisha, when are you going to start dating? Like, when's it going to happen? When are you, when you see those comments on your Instagram that's like, oh my God, boys, like, wife her up. She's so hot, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah. But then I'm like, no one's sliding in. You know what I mean?
You get like a couple sugar baby requests, but that's about it.
Oh my God, I've been getting a lot of those lately. And I'm like, do I just reply? Like,
I mean, it can't hurt. I actually know quite a few girls do that website. I've got like girls that I know from college, and they love it. They seem to be very happy.
Part of me is like, being a sugar baby for a day, like, what would that look like?
It looks like a fun life. I have to say that.
But yeah, I don't know. Here's the thing. And I feel like I've never really explained the reason why I didn't date, past tense.
Yeah, what is the reason why? Actually, I feel like you and I, we obviously dove into it and we get drunk and cry about it. But sober thoughts, why do you think you held yourself back for so long?
There's so many different things. Like, literally, I feel like understanding why I never date. Like, I think I've learned a lot about myself once I found out how much I struggle with anxiety. I saw literally yesterday or today, I saw a tweet or story on Instagram that was saying, I'm not shy, or when you find out you're really not shy like you thought your whole life, you just have social anxiety. And I felt that to my bones. And that's been something I've really been trying to work on this past year, even in quarantine, which out of all years to work on it, Alisha, I felt like I was like not around people. So then I don't know why I chose this year out of all years to try to work on that. Maybe it was easier.
But I feel like you don't choose when to work on things like that too. It just kind of happens. It's when you're naturally ready.
So I really struggle with anxiety, and one of them is social anxiety. And that's something that, I've talked with my therapist. We've discovered that, and it's funny because growing up, I would always say that I was shy, and I was shy as a kid. But then once you get to know me, I'm not shy whatsoever. And I really feel like last year at some point I was venting to Ollie. I think it was Ollie and you. And I was saying how, I hate that I'm so shy, blah, blah, blah. And Ollie literally replied, what do you mean? Like, you're actually not shy. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, no, you're really not. And I was like, no, it's just because you know me. I'm comfortable with you, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, no, like, I really don't think you are. And that was kind of a weird moment for me because I'm like, okay, here's someone who I love, who I trust, who I know is telling me this. And I was like, why have I always put that label, Because I am timid to get to, in groups. And then the more that I started really thinking about it, diving into it with my therapist, I was like, oh, sometimes it's hard to make eye contact. Sometimes I overthink what I'm going to say. Sometimes I'm even thinking about what I should say next in case the conversation goes away. And then I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. And then I'm overthinking everything. And then big groups. That was the first trigger for me. I realized quickly, a lot of the times was after we went to even those Big Bear trips that we used to go on. Whenever there were people, a group of people who I know, and I have individual relationships with every single one in different ways, but something about the number of like people like just overwhelmed me like no other. And I didn't understand why, and I just couldn't be myself.
My question is, and I don't know if you can answer this might be like a therapist question, but so what's the difference between just being shy around like people that you don't know and then being really outgoing around people that you know well and you love versus having social anxiety? Does everybody who acts like that technically have a form of social anxiety or to like a level or degree?
I don't know. And I think that's where it finally clicked for me, because I was like, wait, it's not like these are all strangers that I don't know. I'm like, I know you. I know Adeline. I know Mia. Like, I know all these people. Why am I tripping? Like, why am I tripping? Like, I know all of them. I've known them for years. Some of them I've traveled out of the country with. And even some friends who I've known for years, I feel like each time I re-see them, I almost forget our whole like friendship. And it's almost as if I'm meeting someone new the first time. And I'm like, Alisha, chill. Like, you literally know them. Like, why are you like thinking about what you're saying?
Is there a reason? Like, can you tap into why you get nervous specifically? Like, is it that you're afraid they're going to judge you? Or is it like, for what reason might it be? That's what my brain initially thinks is like, oh, I'm scared they're going to judge me.
So figured that out in therapy.
Love that. No, I love this. We don't talk about this.
Yeah, no, we never talk about this. One of the things that for whatever reason, I don't know where this stemmed from, and this clearly stemmed from something. I always felt like I was boring. Like, I felt like I had nothing to bring to the table. I felt like people would never find me interesting. I felt like, no, I know, it's like so sad.
I think you're so interesting.
No, but do you remember Kaylee? Do you?
Oh my God, that's right.
I literally, this was just the year of me like figuring out all my shit.
The year of realizing things.
Yeah. 2 or 3 years ago, we were at Remi's apartment.
I think this is the first time you were ever meeting Kaylee, my best friend from middle school.
Yes. And of course, I'd heard so much about her through you, and you were like, you're going to be best friends, da da da. And I'm like, oh my God, amazing. So she comes over and we're all pre-gaming back pre-pandemic when you would pre-game and go out to the club or whatever. We were at your house. It was like a lovely 10 p.m. or something. And we're like getting ready to go. And we're just like pre-gaming and having fun. And I'm meeting Kaylee, and we're talking. And we were talking to her, and we had this like deep talk right off the bat. And I'm sitting there, and I tell her how I was like, yeah, I just feel like I'm like, the only thing that a lot of my friendships like have in common is work. And I feel like work is the only interesting thing about me, and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's all people ever really want to know, and talk YouTube or social media, blah, blah, blah. And then she sits there. Keep in mind, we are drunk.
Also, like, just a meeting.
Yeah. First time meeting, like heart to heart right off the bat. And she like looks at me, but like kind of to the side because we're drunk. And she's like squinting. And Kay's like, I think you're interesting. And we haven't talked about work this whole time. We had talked like an hour, and I not once brought up work. And I sat there, and it was such a like out of body moment, being like, whoa, you're right. I just had a full on conversation with you. And like, I'm interesting.
That's really sweet though. I love that.
So then when I was having
your therapy session?
Well, I was going to say when I met with a psychiatrist and we were like going through the eval, and she's like asking me a shitload of random questions. One of the questions was, do you feel like you drink to be like more fun? Or do you feel like you drink to become like your real self or something? And granted, at the time I wasn't, but I was like, whoa, there were a few years where I was like, oh, once I have a few drinks in me, then I'll be my fun Alisha.
Yeah,
like,
you would say that. You would verbally say that.
Verbally, I would be like, oh, like I'll be my normal self once I have a little bit of liquid courage, and then I'm not overthinking everything I'm saying. And then I'll be like the fun me who all my friends know and love, blah, blah, blah. Like that social anxiety bubble will just pop, go away. Oh my God, who is she? She's in WeHo twerking on the wall. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know.
Again, shy versus like the social part was so weird, because I always have loved performing. I always like being on stage. Like that never like got me nervous. It was so weird. Anyways, point being, so discovered we had some social anxiety, which that just understanding that made so much sense, especially like things with my childhood and stuff. Clearly we can be here for days about that. So then now you bring in dating to the whole aspect. I only really had like one long-term boyfriend. I was never a serial dater like a lot of our friends. I always like wish I was because they're just like so good at it. I'm also way more reserved, as anyone who listens to this podcast would know, just from you when you used to, you know, hit the town, see the guys, go on the dating apps, you would come back being like, I'm in love. Like, I love this person. And I always envied that. I was like, that's so cool that you don't overthink shit, because I am so much more reserved. Like, it takes a lot for me to like someone. Like, a lot, you know?
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, oh, I have to like them. Otherwise, it's going to be boring and I'm just going to overthink everything. And I also like being good at stuff. You know this. Like, I'm a type 3 Enneagram personality. We are like the overachievers, and it's hard for me to do stuff that I'm not good at. And clearly, like, the more that years went on, I just kept thinking this light switch would go off where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to date, you know?
I think something that's funny to point out too is like, this is such a case in point where like you know, when I was going through my dating scene and I was like seeing this guy, I'd like freak out if they weren't like, I would try to fit them into the mold of which I wanted them to be, which was my boyfriend.
Oh yeah.
And so Alisha would just
you'd be like, this is it.
You know what? This one. A week later, you know what? This one. But Alisha would always give me really good advice if the guy wasn't really fitting the mold, i.e. he didn't want to be my boyfriend. And Alisha would just be like, Rem, like, I would literally like, there are a couple where I was like dragging them to just meet me at the starting line. And Alisha would be like, Rem, like, you know, it shouldn't be this hard. And also, like, just because you get into a relationship doesn't mean it's going to be like rainbows and sunshines. Like, it's going to be hard no matter what. And they're making it way harder already too. But it's funny because like it's so easy to say that stuff. And that was great advice. And I held on to it. But then with you like watching you, but you know, before you started going on dates and things, I'd be like, how come we're holding back? We're not sure. And I think you kind of, which granted, this is what everybody wants, dream situation, to date a guy and have it be perfect right off the bat. Have you not get your heart broken, not get rejected. And like, of course, that's the dream scenario. And I think that you use that as a bit of a scapegoat for yourself for a little while.
Oh, completely.
Of being like, oh, you know, just like, it's not going to work like that. So I'm just not going to do it. And so like me as your friend, obviously I'm not going to push you to do it if you don't want to. But I would be like, you know, it's not, as much as it sounds so great that it would happen like that, it most likely will not. So you just kind of have to prepare yourself to either get your heart broken, get rejected, break some hearts. You know, you have to figure out what you want. And I feel like you finally were ready to kind of do that. Yeah.
So that was so good. Wow. Yeah, I felt that.
3 weeks of psychology, bitch.
I don't know. Truly the longest time I never was interested because it just wasn't, there was no win in it for me. It was like, I'm going to go on this. I'm going to be so awkward. My expectation of this is like, I have to be this fake, like, OMG, you're so funny.
You're
girl.
so
like,
strong. Your muscles are poking
oh my
out.
God, it's so strong. That it would be super awkward, like rejection 1,000%, like neither of us would be into it, or like I would be into it, he wouldn't be into it. Even like the pressure of like, oh my God, does that mean like he's gonna expect me to have to like sleep with him on the first date? Like I don't want to even go there.
Yeah.
Like just all of those things in my head on top of not liking like meeting new people. It was just hard no. It was hard no.
I get that. I totally get it. And you're gonna do it. Like if I could go back in time to my like when I was dating, I wish that I was as solid in knowing what I want as you are right now, because it would have saved me so much heartache. Because I feel like since I didn't know, and we've talked about this before, I didn't know what I wanted. So I was so like, woo, like, okay, I can do this, or I can do that. I can do this, I can do that, which led me to being so thrown around all the time that it caused me a lot of sadness. So I think it's good that you're like, I know what I want. I know what like my standards are. And then you're not going to put up with anything else.
I love that. Although I'm like, I'm sure that heartbreak is coming. It's gonna come. You know, it's gonna come.
It's inevitable,
okay.
But that's
okay. You'll be there to dry my tears. Okay, guys, we are going to talk to you about MeUndies. I've heard about this brand for the longest time ever, and I'm not going to lie. I heard that, you know, they're the softest, most comfortable fabrics you could ever imagine. I can confirm that. I can confirm
they are like for real. They are the softest thing I've ever felt in my life.
They sent us some before they sponsored the podcast, so you know we could try out the product, do that thing called influencing, and I am sold.
I wish I could wrap my body in whatever they use to make that underwear. Like, it is the most comfortable. They actually did send me a pair of pants, and so I'm halfway there. It is so ridiculously soft and breathable. They have like all sorts of different styles. They have men's, briefs and boxers. They also have, for me, like, I love their thongs personally. They have the cutest little briefs there. Again, there's like pants. It is whatever they are making their products with, like, please wrap me up in it. I need it.
My favorite thing is that they have sizes extra small all the way to 4XL. So you can definitely find something, and they have such cute colors and patterns, and you're going to love it. MeUndies also just released their lightest, stretchiest, and most breathable undies yet. Their new Breathe collection was made for your movement.
They're ultra-light, anti-odor, and designed for you to show up for yourself, because it's better to wear a no-show than to be one. Check out Breathe by MeUndies in new undies, bralettes, and socks.
To get 15% off your first order and free shipping, go to MeUndies.com/basic.
That's MeUndies.com/basic.
So, fast forward, Alisha has been on a handful of dates recently. I am going to thank my anxiety medication, because I do think that's a huge factor. But I also would like to personally thank my therapist, Katie.
Love you, Katie. Love you, Katie.
And this happened. So okay. I don't know if anyone else can relate to this or relate to me in any way when it comes to dating and you just overthink everything. But this advice really, really helped me. And I kind of like wish I learned this years ago. And I think it's just because since I overthink everything, you accept that and you're like, okay, don't look at this as like a huge mountain, right? You have social anxiety. That's okay. That's normal. Like most people do. So how are you, instead of like just jumping into the fucking fire pit of like, you have to go on a date and like do all of this, like what are baby steps that can help you beforehand? And she said, why don't you just start making more conversation with people in your life? Like if you're going on a walk, make eye contact with someone who's walking past you and say, hey. Now that sounds so small and simple, right? I got homework to do this. And I was like, this is stupid. I don't care about the person walking by. Like, I'm not going to like start a relationship. Like, I'm not trying to date them. And she's like, no, that's the point. There's no pressure. You're just like making eye contact and say, hey. And I'd be like, whoa. Okay. The smallest thing ever, right?
I forget you don't do that normally. Your eyes are glued to the ground.
Guys, this is a fun fact about me. I think it's just because I'm insecure about being tall, and I'm really not even that tall, but growing up, all my friends were super short, so I'd always like slouch and just look down at the ground kind of, which is very sad to like picture. Oh my God, I felt bad for my past self.
I want to give her a hug with the butterfly clips, the bucket hat.
Yeah, the bucket hat. So I always have just like looked at the ground. I also think it's because my bad posture. Like I don't look up. Like anytime we'd even be going out, Rem would be like, look at that cute guy. And I'm like, where?
No,
like,
your eyes would be glued to your shoelaces.
Yeah, like not even on my phone, just like at the floor. And I think that came from me also being scared of tripping. So I always want to make sure I'm looking right in front of myself. But I'm like, Alisha, look up 10 feet. Like you can still look ahead of yourself without looking at your shoes.
No offense, if you're afraid of tripping, if you're looking ahead, you're more aware of things that are coming before they come than when you're looking at your feet.
That's so
tripping 101.
Wow, I'm learning a lot this episode. Damn. So yeah, that was always just like a problem in general. So as simple as it was, like just making eye contact with random strangers, being like, hey, how's your day going? With like no expectations of anything. Cause you're literally just saying hi, you know, and do that as much as possible. So even obviously we're in freaking quarantine at this point. So I was like, okay, this was about a year ago is when I was like, I want to work on this. I'm officially going to try to tackle this because this sucks. I hate feeling like I can't be myself. I hate feeling like I'm so like, I don't want to say like, it's just like a crippling feeling like you can't be yourself for whatever reason, whether it's anxiety, depression, whatever, you know?
I think it's so hard when you know what you're capable of and you just can't get there. That sounds really hard.
Especially when it's yourself holding yourself back. When you are holding yourself back, I think that's always really hard. So I started doing that a little more. Obviously, there's not that many social environments to be around other than going on a walk, the drive-thru.
Yeah, I was going to say the drive-thrus.
Or Trader Joe's. Those were my three.
Oh, they're so nice, too.
Like the grocery store. I know, they're so nice.
They're like, oh, where'd you get this? Is this new? And you're like, oh my God, yeah, I was in the back. Do you want me to get you some?
Yeah. I'm dead. Okay. So I started doing that a little more often, and I didn't realize how even hard that was for me, but it worked, and it definitely was like baby steps. So that was something that really, really helped me, because it wasn't so much, oh my God, I need to go on this date and impress this person and da 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 da. It was, Alisha, you are holding yourself back from not even trying to make conversation with people. Like all the people, like I envy people like you or TK who just make friends anywhere, and I'm like, how do you do that? Like how do you do that, you know? Also, I remember distinctly there was this one week where this instance happened like 3 times, and it made it so apparent to me that it was a problem. You know me, I'm always more chill. If we're at a dinner table, I'm not the one like telling stories back and forth, blah, blah, blah. I'm much more of a chimer inner. Like I always I'm good at reacting to things. I don't know. That's just kind of how my personality is.
Yeah. No, I feel like a lot of this podcast is me telling things and you're just like, yeah.
Yeah, literally. But I noticed that it happened. For instance, my friend was telling a story. I forget what it was, but let's say she said that she spilt coffee all over herself. Now, in this instance, I also spilt coffee on myself that day. And a normal person would be like, oh my gosh, that same story just happened to me. Let me input my story to this. But I just sat back and it felt like too much work to talk about it. I just really didn't see a point in including myself in the conversation for whatever reason. And that type of thing happened 3 times where I was thinking, oh, I should talk about this. One of them I remember was just in August, a friend was talking about her dream car, and I had just gotten my car. And I remember TK looking at me and being like, oh my God, you should tell her that you got your car. But I was like, it's fine. Like, she's going to think I'm bragging. She's going to think this. Like, there's too much. It feels like too much work to explain this whole long story, when in reality, it would be a 1 or 2 minute story. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the idea of it was so overwhelming to where I just wouldn't include myself. So that type of thing happened. I'm not kidding. 3 times in 1 week. That's when I realized, holy shit, this is a you problem, bitch. You can't just say you're tired. You can't just say, oh, it felt like too much work. It's like you are literally holding yourself back so much just from life, just from conversations, and friendships. We're not even talking about dating yet. We're just normal
just bettering
relationships, friendships.
Yeah, making connections.
Exactly. So after that happened, that's when I was like, wow, a bitch needs to work on this. So, I'm going through Starbucks. I'm like, how was your day?
They're like, fuck you. And you never try again.
And then they don't respond, and I drive off, and I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, but I will say that advice of baby steps in any way was so nice. And then with my personality, it made it a goal. I was like, okay, I have homework. I can work on this. I have to do this. And it's not this vulnerable thing of rejection in any way. So realizing that it everything is so much more chill than I expected, I was like, oh, that's true. I don't have to be that oh my God, you're so strong, girl. Or just because you match with someone on a dating app doesn't mean, oh my God, you're in love with me and you're gonna think I'm a stalker. You know what I mean? It's no, you're literally you just swiped.
It's just it. For every girl that they're swiping on that they connect with, they've got hundreds of others, and I don't know. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. It's really not.
It's not. And that's what I wish. I mean, it happened when it was supposed to happen. I wish I knew that more then. And I even would talk with Katie, my therapist, because she was like, oh, so how are you in meetings, because you do work, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, I kill meetings. I was like, I'm so good. I turn it on, blah, blah, blah. And she looked so confused. She's like, so it's not people, you can talk to people. I was like, yeah, I'm great at talking. She was like, but it's dating. I was like, yeah. She's like, they're really the same thing. It's just you meeting up with someone, making conversation for an hour or so, and then leaving. And I was like, okay.
I think it comes back down to you're confident in your work, but you weren't confident in yourself.
Oh, bitch. No. Yeah. So I feel so that being the longest 24-minute backstory of why I have really not cared to date, on top of getting my validation from work versus guys, it was just why would I even go there? That seems miserable. I'm going to save myself from a lot of awkwardness, rejection, heartache, whatever, because it doesn't even seem fun. It doesn't even seem, I don't know. It doesn't seem fun in any way. But then we fast forward to an Alisha in quarantine, realizing she has so much more life to live, She has so much more she can offer to the world. So, she starts hitting the app. She's like, this isn't a big deal, whatever. I know I'm hot. I know I'm cool. I know I'm interesting. I know I'm not boring.
No,
okay?
we're not boring. Things were not boring.
Things we are not
boring.
Can we put that as
I'm going to write it down for Sarah.
So I end up matching with this one guy, and he was cute, but here's another tip I'm going to give everyone. He wasn't my normal type. Alicia likes a brunette, she has a specific type. This guy was like a surfer blonde dude, which he was really cute, but I think it made it easier to be like, oh, like, let's get drinks because it's like not that big of a deal. Also, I went into a lot of conversations being like, hey, let's get drinks. Like, hi. Like, that was my intent without like trying to think of like a good conversation right off the bat, which I think is great when you're actually looking for a potential like partner. But because I was like, my only goal here was date, like go on one date, bitch. Like, you can do it. Just go on one. It's not going to be that bad. So before I knew it, I had plans to get drinks with this guy who wasn't necessarily my type, but he was still pretty hot. And I was like, okay, this is not a big deal, Alisha. You're literally just going like you would a normal meeting where you meet up with someone. You just talk for a little bit. It's okay. Also, I felt like it made it a little easier in quarantine because there's like, with just germs and stuff, you're like distance, you have the masks on. There's no expectation. You like have to make out by the end of the night or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was
it's actually
very,
really true.
It made it easier.
Can I just say, I've been waiting for literally, how long have we been best friends? Like 4 years, 3 years, however long, for you to date. And I was like, okay, she'll do it when she's ready. I've been waiting. All of a sudden, a random Tuesday night, how many years in, I get I'm ready to date. I'm like, yes, girl, go. 20 minutes later. So I'm going on a date tomorrow. I'm like, what? And I was watching a movie with Cal. And Cal's very serious about his movies. And he was getting so annoyed that I was on my phone. And he was just like giving me attitude. And I looked at Cal and I was like, Cal, I've been waiting for these texts for 3 years. I need to do this. And he was like, okay, that's fine. Okay, now I get it.
Never forget when we first met and I really liked this one guy and you didn't know that was such a big deal.
I still to this day am so upset with myself that I didn't make it a bigger deal than I did.
I was like asking you what I should text him back and like all that kind of stuff. And like, you were like, oh, just this. Like, it was so chill.
So
but now you're like, fuck.
And then after I was like, wait. Okay, sorry. So you went on, you were excited because it was going to be more chill.
Yeah, I was excited. My biggest worry was that like he would cancel, and now I had told so many friends that I was going on a date, and then I would look like stupid or something, which that's not. But like, who cares? Who fucking cares? So the next thing I know, Rem actually needed to come over to pick something up, or we needed to not record, but you had to like come grab something at the house. And so you came.
I was going to Soul Cycle, but then remember I was going to be too late. So I happened to end up at Alicia's exit. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to drop by. And it was perfect timing.
It was perfect timing because what more could you want than your best friend stopping by the house? What if you never had a Soul Cycle planned? It's fine. It was great. It worked out perfect.
I was just waiting outside in your driveway.
Yeah. So Rem ended up coming over and she's like, wait, you have that date tonight? And I was like, yeah. And then what should I wear? The next thing I know, Ashley, Taryn, and Remy are like going through my closet and Ashley's closet, like putting together outfits, like telling me to wear this, telling me to wear that. And normally I am such a person who wouldn't want to make it a big deal. But I think because I actually like knew it wasn't a big deal. And I was like, it's not even about the guy. Like, I'm just like, it was fun watching you guys get so excited. Like, it was so fun for me because the funny story. So I'm finally wearing an outfit that I feel comfortable in, that they say is good, that looks cute, whatever. Like, hot, but not too slutty. Like,
what is like a good first date outfit, would you say, for someone who's listening? Like a good quarantine first date outfit. Because I feel like you're very limited in what you can do. You can go get drinks. You can meet up at a park. And like, that's about it. You can go for a walk. That's about it.
Yeah. I feel like, I ended up going with jeans, a long sleeve shirt, but I ended up not even taking off my jacket, so you couldn't even see it really, which sucked. Because it looked good.
It was cute.
And then everyone kept yelling at me to make sure I don't wear a designer purse and have a no logo one. And I was like, what? But I'm bougie. And they were like, no, trust me. Like, don't look like you're too high maintenance. And I was like, oh, okay. I stole Ashley's purse.
I think a thing with like being an influencer and dating, it makes it a little bit more
stigma.
layered. Yeah. And I think like, yeah, you could have worn it. Honestly, to be fully frank, you could have worn a designer bag and they're straight boys. They wouldn't know it's a designer bag.
They wouldn't know.
They wouldn't know. But I think there are like preconceived notions. Did this guy know you were an influencer beforehand or no?
So I actually ended up giving him my Instagram beforehand. And at first I was like, oh, I'll never do that. But I think I was so just like, whatever. Like, let's see how that goes. Because I've never tried that approach. I actually kind of liked it because then I didn't have to explain what I did.
Yeah.
Like, I actually kind of liked it. But then part of me also didn't. I don't know. It was weird.
It kind of like speaks for itself. There are certain dates that I went on that like they knew and certain dates where they didn't know. And I think it makes it a little bit easier if they know already. But the preconceived notions, you're almost like fighting a stereotype in a way. And I feel like when I told you this advice of like when I would go on dates with dudes, I would try extra hard to be super inquisitive and not talk about me the entire time, which I don't normally do anyways. As it is, I just like asking people questions, but I would try extra hard to be like, what do you do? You know, asking them all these questions so that they're not like, oh, this like vapid influencer is just only talking about herself the whole time, which I think worked out for the most part. All right. As you guys know, Alisha and I are the queens of, you know, we love clothes. We love new items, things like that, of course. We love, you know, sprucing up our wardrobes, but that can get expensive and you run out of room in your closet, you know? So if you guys have not heard of Curtsy, it is great because you're shopping from real women in your size and your style. Seriously, it's so easy to navigate. And it's great because if your closet is getting full of things, you know, it happens. There's things that you don't wear, things that you just don't fit you anymore. It's totally great because you can totally sell out to anybody else who would love to have that piece in their own closet. And then you can get some new pieces sent straight to your door.
Well, that's what's really cool because, for instance, Lululemon leggings are like $100. You can find them on there for $40.
That's amazing.
That's great.
They have seriously so many great different brands on there. Everything from like Urban Outfitters to Princess Polly, Free People, and Levi's. And it's up to 70% off, which is so great. And selling clothes can be such a pain in the ass, as we all know. And this makes it so much easier.
It literally gives you a suggested and estimated retail price of how much to sell your stuff for and what it thinks that it's worth, which is so, I don't know why. That's my favorite part about this. I think that's so cool. It makes it so easy. So don't feel like it's intimidating to sell your clothes because it's really not with Curtsy.
If you want a sustainable way to get Brandy, Urban, Champion, and Lulu delivered directly to your door, download Curtsy today and enter promo code BASIC for 15% off your first order.
Search for Curtsy in the App Store spelled CURTSY and enter promo code BASIC for 15% off your first order.
That's the Curtsy app, promo code BASIC.
Honestly, I think my favorite part of the entire night, actually two things. One of my favorite things was I come downstairs and I think I made myself a drink here first just to kind of like loosen up a little bit because I'm like, okay, like we're starting to get a little nervous. Like it's not a big deal, Alisha. Who cares? I like go to my purse that Ashley let me borrow of hers. Thank you, Ashley. Which I'm gonna have another story about that purse in a later episode, by the way.
I have to say, when you said you were gonna date, you hit the ground running, and we have many a stories now that like some I haven't even heard, which I live for.
No, I purposely been holding out a few. Not for this episode, but we'll get to that later. Anyways, I go to my purse and I'm like, what the hell? And I'm looking at it, and I scream, Ashley, did you reorganize my bag? And she's upstairs. She's like, yeah. She's like, this just makes so much more sense. Da da da. Like that is Ashley's love language, and I just start dying laughing because that's Ashley's love language. Like she just makes it like, and that's just like she's so cute.
What's so funny is I saw her doing it, but I didn't realize what she was doing. And then when you were like,
without me asking, and she's like, it's just
so
more functional
cute.
this way.
She's so cute.
I fucking love her. So that was one of my favorite moments because I was just like, oh my god, you guys are like more excited about this than me, but like it made me smile the whole time. Then Mr. Me Ashton tells me, oh my god, I'm actually going to this specific Korean market, and I believe where you're going is on my way.
It really was. I didn't just make it up. It was off the exit. It really was.
I wasn't sure if you were lying, but I was like, I'm gonna let her have this one. She offered to drive me. Now, if that isn't content baby content, I was like, this is so fucking funny. I feel like a kid who's going to the middle school dance and her mom's like driving her. And she's like, do you need anything?
Oh my God. It was so fun though. We like practiced in the car. We practiced conversations. I tried to give her a taser. She wouldn't take the taser.
Yeah, you did offer me a taser. I was like, I think I'm fine. And then you ran over a cone.
I was in such a hurry and I was so excited. Well, not even, because your date was at like 7. I think you said 7:15, 7:30, right?
Yeah, something
like that. And like, you obviously don't want to be like the first one there, but you also don't want to be like late because that's rude. So we were trying to like make it perfect at like 7:23 or something. So she was like in there, but not first. And so
Girls are so annoying.
Guys literally could not think, like they don't think about it at all.
No.
We were driving down her street and there's like a lot of construction going on, and I have a big car and I didn't realize how low big cars really are. So I saw a cone in the middle and there were cars on each side and it was kind of tight. So I was like, I'll just go over the cone. So then I go over it and then I hear this as we're driving through, and I'm like, oh, I think the cone's still stuck. And I was able to pull it out. Alicia got a good laugh before her date.
I got a video too.
Oh, we did get a video. We'll put it up on Instagram. This whole episode has a whole collage. But I love my favorite part of your date was that you were like, the whole day you were so chill. Like, I got to your house, I was like, the date's tonight, and you were like, I'm fine, yeah, whatever. Oh my God, is that tonight? And then like the whole time we were getting ready, you were like really chill about it. And I was telling you, I was like, seriously, like I was exactly the same way, and you're like fine until the minute before it starts. Then you start like, I personally I gag when I get nervous, so I'd be in the back of the Uber like bleh, bleh.
I didn't know it's when you're nervous.
Oh, I gag all the time. I have a really sensitive gag reflex, but it's especially when I'm nervous. When I was a little kid and I'd be in the wings before my dance competition, I'd just be like bleh, bleh. Anyways, so I was like, it's the minute before, bitch. And you were like, okay, whatever. And I'm not kidding. We pull up at 7:23. 7:22, we're going down the street. You go, I'm nervous.
I was like, fuck, like, what if it's awkward? Like, all of those thoughts came rushing back. You know, the first drink had worn off by now because we had the cone drama. And I was just like, okay, like, what? Oh my God, what if he doesn't show? What if he's ugly? What if like he's like a creep? Like, stalker? Like, oh my God. So Rem drops me off and I was like, it's okay. We got this. You had a billboard, Alisha.
She literally did say that. She's like, I was like, you're hot. She's like, I'm hot. I had a billboard. I was like, you had a billboard.
I hate myself. Guys, like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. Anyways, I go. Rem drives off. Well, Rem, she waited for a little bit just to make sure I was good, which was nice. I was like, I have my getaway plan, escape. This is perfect.
Oh yeah, just to be safe.
Anyway, so ended up meeting him. I knew right away it was him, and I always heard people be like, oh, you can just tell when it's them, because like that's so awkward. Like, what if it's not them? Like, what if, I don't know,
especially with the mask on too, you don't know. The mask.
But I saw this guy, I was like, oh my God, I think that's him. So I walk up and I was like, hey, what's up? And then gave him a hug, whatever. But then I was just like, oh, this is weird. Like, okay. But then we waited for our table. It wasn't long at all. So then it really, like, it was so much more chill than I thought. Like, I was like, oh, he also talked a lot, which was great. Like, it was so nice. It never felt awkward, which was always my biggest, like, thing. I could definitely tell he was into it too, which I know that's such a shallow thing, but it was just nice being like, oh my God, he's into it.
Yeah. It's validating.
And then, yeah, it was definitely validating. I definitely was way better at it than I thought. And I was like, Alisha, like, this really is not a big deal. Like, at all. Like, you're literally just getting to know someone. Now I'm like, oh, I don't know. It was weird.
I think it's better if you don't go in with like romantic. Obviously, there's like you're testing chemistry. You're seeing if there's an attraction, but it's better if you're not thinking like, oh, we're gonna date, or like, oh, we're gonna totally hook up. We're gonna XYZ. Just because that takes the pressure off. If you're just like, oh, I'm just getting to know. Like, I've had dates before where we literally just became buds, and it was like, great. Yeah, you can just be buds.
Oh my God. Literally, I felt like that was the best mentality to go into it, being like, okay, I just want to go on like 10 first dates. Like, that's my goal for the next like few months, blah, 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 whatever. Because then you're not even worried about it being like romantic. But then if it happens to be, it's cool. But then if it's not, it's like, not a big deal.
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
Like, I have to say, I love the fact that I'm not trying to get married tomorrow because it makes it so much easier. Because it's like, okay, I'm just trying to have fun and like build this like muscle. Literally, that's what TK always would say. She was like, it's kind of like a muscle. Like, you have to work on it. You have to work it out. You have to like build it. You know, it's like your dating muscle or whatever. And I was like, weird analogy, but I love it.
It's true.
So, it's so true. So it was good. I don't really know what else to say about it. I really wish like there was a mic that you could like hear the whole thing.
I can't wait for our double date one.
I know. Oh my God, you guys, we came up with the best idea. I was like, so I was talking to TK saying how we should start going on double dates and I'll take the ugly friend. I don't care. Like, I'm just trying to get better at this, you know, whatever. And Rem was sitting there and she was sad. She's like, I miss dating. Like, that would like seem so obviously she's like booed up and so happy right now, but she's like, oh, like just the girl talk of it. And then I had this idea. I was like, Remi, we need to do a video series where I set up, quote, double dates for you and I. And the guy that I bring will think that you and Cal are meeting for the first time. And we can just troll. Like, I could be like, hi, this is my friend Remi. And then you could be like, hi, nice to meet you. You and Cal can have a little, like, role play action moment. You can have different names if you want.
Please. I told Cal this idea, and I was like, either he's going to love it or he's going to be like, no, I don't want to do that. Yeah. When I told him, I was like, you can do whatever you want. Like, you have the floor. He was like, I can't wait. Like, knowing Callie's gonna troll.
Fucking funny. So he's gonna be like, yeah, like
he's gonna like have a German accent. He's gonna like every time he's a Swedish tennis player.
That's so funny. So I really like that's on my bucket list. That needs to happen ASAP because I think that's so funny. And then it's fun for you and Cal, you know, shake things up.
I agree. I'm just happy to be here. Happy to be included.
Just happy to be included. So yeah, that I feel like I've literally never dived into the reason why I never dated or like why I just didn't want to. Obviously, like that kind of sets the stage for you guys. So get excited. We have lots of stories that I'm excited to share. There's some that I'm like, oh my God, I haven't even told Remi this because I have to tell her I'm pretty basic.
I can't wait. I know. I feel like the first one I was like, tell me everything. And then after I was like, I want to save it. I want to know. I want to know when it's crazy. Like, I know if it was crazy, you'll tell me it was crazy.
Yeah. But anyways, hopefully this helped anyone who also struggles with social anxiety and dating and stuff. Also, please like tweet or let us know some of like your guys's tips or advice just for dating in general, and we can repost them on the Pretty Basic Instagram. And yeah, we love you guys so much, and we will talk to you really soon with a new episode.
Bye.